Second Amendment, pro-life, etc. But if we elect them, we spend our money, we spend our time, and then they come up with many reasons why we can't support them, or why they can't support our issues, I'm sorry. So, for instance, what happened in Harrisburg, what was it, Sam, yesterday? So they swear in the new House and Senate, and we have a 101 to 99 majority, I say in we, the Republican Party, and they have time to vote for a speaker that night, or that day, and 16 Republicans basically betrayed us and took a man that's a Democrat from Berks County who said he would caucus not with either party, and they voted him for speaker. Cutler, who wanted to be speaker, was the one that betrayed us. And we are taking names, and starting today, we're going to start identifying those 16 members in the Pennsylvania House that voted against our leadership. So here's the problem. There are 3 vacant seats right now. One was because the Democrats voted for the guy who had died about a month before the election. They put him in office, so that seat's empty. Another seat is empty because I think she became a congresswoman. Another seat is empty because she was appointed to the Superior Administration. There's going to be a special election in February, and there's going to be 2 special elections in May. So for right now, as we sat here this week, the Republicans have a 101 to 99 majority, and they could have voted a Republican in the speaker and started to pursue the Republican agenda. And they say to us, we didn't have to do it anyway, because Shapiro would veto everything. Well, there's one thing they could have done. There's that bill to pass a second time for voter ID. And once they passed it a second time, he couldn't have vetoed it, and then it would have been on the ballot as a constitutional amendment. And you know how successful that would have been, and we would have passed it, and it would have been at least one step toward voter integrity. And they refused to do it. So they have revealed themselves. No different in many ways than what's going on in Washington, D.C. And I know there's a lot of confusion about this, but again, what, they didn't even vote again today, that they still can't get a speaker, right? And the Republican establishment is trying to spin it that those 20 people are traitors to Republicans. And in reality, it's Kevin McCarthy who used Nancy Pelosi tactics to go after the candidates that were pro-Trump. We thought a red wave was coming. We believed we were going to have a huge majority. They set it up on purpose. These were the never-Trump Republicans that spent the money to make sure we didn't win those seats. Kevin McCarthy spent huge sums of money to against certain primary candidates, not to stay out of it. Stay out of it. Just like Mitch McConnell went to Alaska and paid money for one Republican over the other and didn't let it play out. Didn't let the base have their choice. So now it's time for some accountability. We'll see what happens in Washington, but we can't control that, but we can certainly put some pressure on these Republicans, because quite honestly, it's beyond disgusting. John Shapiro was a calculating, manipulative, nasty, Machiavellian politician who was also a leftist. He will, as soon as he has the opportunity, take every chance to remask our children, to mandate vaccines, to take away our freedoms at every level, and he will continue to put pressure through whoever they appoint as Attorney General to come after people like me who have dared to file lawsuits against the election integrity issues. So again, as I always do, I do welcome those informants and lookout agents that I know are here tonight, taking, mark of my words, and I'm still here to tell you that we will prevail. We will save our Constitution and our Republic, and you have no right to do what you're doing. So I want to thank you for that. With that being said, I do want to announce a couple people here, just thank them for being special guests. Glenn Bexner is the chairman of the North Lincoln County Republican Committee. I'm going to go through some announcements and some minutes as they're just looking through some slides. But before I get to those announcements, Don, why don't you come up? I'm going to let him speak for about 60 seconds just to identify what, because I like my microphone. I'm going to let Glenn speak a little bit about what the county parties are doing in this very local, very important local election cycle, and we're going to get back to that a little more.
Thank you very much. Very quickly, I just want to let everybody know that both Northampton County and Lehigh County Republican Committees are all working together to try to find candidates for our local offices, our school boards, our town councils, our county government seats, that will represent our values and that we can run effectively this year. There is a training on January 21st, which I think we're going to talk a little bit more about, that both county parties are encouraging people to be part of. If they have not run for office before, they want to learn more about what it takes. Please, it's a commitment. It's energy, it's time, it's money, absolutely. But if we are not the people who get involved, if we're not the ones sitting on the school boards, who is?
That's right.
If we're not the ones who are our town council, town leaders, or supervisors in the city, who is?
That's right.
Please, make the effort or find somebody that you know is qualified that you can get behind. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. The Republican Party establishment, if nothing else, has revealed how disgusting they are, and they hate Donald Trump. But more than hating Donald Trump, they hate every one of you here. And how dare they spend 4 years, because all that Russian collusion stuff that they accused Trump of came and was funded by the Paul Ryans and the Mitt Romneys. That came from the Republican Party establishment crap that they pulled on us. They have revealed the truth about who they are. In the meantime, because we all said we want the embassy in Israel to be moved to Jerusalem. We said we wanted lower taxes. We said we wanted lower regulations. We said we wanted to rebuild the United States military and defend our borders and close our borders, reduce regulations. Donald Trump did everything. He appointed Supreme Court judges and other federal court judges that were conservative that gave us the overturning of Roe v. Wade. God bless Donald Trump for what he did for us. And how dare these Republicans now trying to tell us that he's responsible for not winning. They set it up so that they could put the final nail in his coffin so they can say it's Donald Trump that caused the loss. Actually, part of the loss, and it's not that it's caused, but it was that Roe v. Wade decision coming in at the timing it did and that money that the left threw in to influence those elections. It really had a lot more to do with all of that. But again, here to tell you that the battle we're in this year is what we at the Tea Party decided to do was have a meeting back in December to talk about our mission and vision. And we're going to have some slides after the break asking for volunteers to talk about the mission and vision. And it's basically to get engaged in the 23 local elections, to find candidates, to bring up these issues, to support medical freedom, the education rights of our members through our Education Committee and Medical Freedom Committee, to build our membership with younger people with the young conservative group that Wyatt has chairman with. So also I want to thank Wyatt for his contributions of trying to bring younger people into the fold. I also want to recognize Linda Stubitz today as the chairman of the Republican Women of Northampton County. And I think later on we have a slide with an announcement about when she's happening. I also want to thank Sean Walsh, who's on the school board in Lower Saucon Valley. Thank you for that. And also Tom Gallagher, where are you? Tom Gallagher is here. He is a member of the Tea Party. There you are, right, Mr. Gallagher? Yes, I got you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I didn't know what you meant.
Still Irish. Still Irish.
What?
Still Irish.
He's still Irish. Same. He lives in the city of Bethlehem. The reason I mention him tonight, and I apologize, is he's on the Bethlehem City Republican Committee, and I'm the chairman of that committee, but he's announced that he's going to run for city council in Bethlehem. So as we go through this meeting, after we'll hear from our speaker tonight, who, by the way, is selling some books here, and we want you to have to break by those books. We're going to talk more about how to run for office. That seminar, which we're going to have a slide on later, is very important. If you want to run for office, school board, city council, borough council, all these things, some of them actually have a little bit of money associated with them. Now, school board, no pay. But city council, they're making like $9,000 a year. It's not a lot of money.
Get insurance. Get insurance of
They
them.
pay insurance and medical money. And so we, as a Republican Party, have constantly, our leadership has said, ignore the urban core. We can't win in the urban core.
That's not true.
And we ignore it. We have, in Allentown, Bethlehem, completely 100% Democrat control of the government. Every single position of power leads the school boards and city councils in those cities, the second, third largest city in the state, etc. And we have no Republican representation because our Republican Party leaders in the past have said, ignore the city because they won't vote. And if we run candidates in Bethlehem around town, the Democrats will really gear up, and then they'll increase their turnout and we'll lose the countywide races. If that were true, because we haven't been running candidates, we would have been winning these countywide races, or we haven't been. So hopefully this cycle we're going to engage, and we're going to not only engage in the normal areas where Republicans will come out, we're going to engage and we're going to talk to the independents about what's happening with the destruction of our nation, with the inflation and the border breakdown and the supply chain breakdowns and everything that's happening, and we're going to bring it home and talk to the people in South Bethlehem and some of the areas where these people that Republicans typically say, oh, we should go to them, but we don't know how. We've got to start knocking on their doors. We have to talk to them. Many of the urban Latin American or Hispanic people are Catholic and they're conservative and they don't believe in this transgender crap. They don't believe in abortion upon demand until the day of birth. We need to go out and start meeting and talk about these things as we go forward. So I've thrown a lot in tonight as I sometimes always do. So let's see, what's our next slide? I'm going to keep talking. We announced last month that we had a board seat opening, and this is
The next one.
okay. We have. I'm sorry. I flipped them backwards. That was my fault. We have a board of 12 members, as many of you know, and once a year we have an election at the March meeting for half of the board with a 2-year term. So we have 6 open spots that will be voted on in March. We have a nominating committee, and if you are interested in running for one of those spots, submit your resume or application. We don't formal particular process, but some kind of email. We have that email address if we want them to send it to. So we'll go back to Melissa Gallagher in the back there, and Melissa, do you know that email address or? I apologize.
We're sending it to the secretary, right?
Yes.
Okay. Where
Secretary.
are you, secretary at LVTP.org?
Kim, is it secretary at LVTP.org?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to be on our board, we have a board meeting Monday night. If you're interested, come see me after the meeting and we'll give you the information. You can come attend our board meeting and submit some kind of application resume. Just tell us who you are, a little bit about your history, and what your thoughts are about why you want to be on the board. What you think, how you can contribute to the Tea Party in some way. And we will take all those nominations, we'll close out by about mid-January, and then the nominating committee will announce which people, all the people that submitted resumes, they will recommend for nominating to the board. That won't include anybody who's not recommended from being nominated from the floor, because we believe that if someone really wants the position, even if the nominating committee doesn't want them, they can get someone to second their own nomination from the floor, and we will take all of those nominations in February. So with that being said,
The secretary.
the secretary at LVTP.org. All right. So thank you. All right, next slide. Last month, you may also remember that we had a board opening and nominations were accepted for that one board opening, not the 6 that I just talked about. And 3 people were mentioned and nominated and seconded. And I've spoken to all 3, and 2 of the 3 had said that they would withdraw their name for the nomination for that seat and put their name in for the consideration for the open spots for the March election. So what that leaves us with, being the one person still nominated and we're still agreeing to accept that nomination for that one open seat, is Bill Buckner. So with that being said, we have one person nominated. We'll take a vote now for Bill Lockenberg filling that open seat. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, with that being said, we congratulate Bill. Bill is actually, typically, he's always here, he's helping us put the presentations together, he's telling us a lot about all the things that are going on with the voter integrity issues. But today, he's on the national board of the NRA, and he's down in Texas at that national meeting. So he's not here tonight, but he's already contributing to the board, and we're certainly glad to have him join us. Okay, next slide. Membership and treasury reports are regular and associate member 7,247. Bank balance 56,000 and now change, as you can see from the numbers. Credit available is still 10,000. And is that it for that slide? All right, so what's next? All right, again, Patriot Minded Businesses, Melissa's in the back. We're still compiling that. She's got a little flyer back there now. As they're doing what they're doing, digital currencies and whatever score or whatever that is, the global warming score, whatever they call it, they're destroying us. But we have to bind together. We have to create an alternative economy of some sort. We have to support each other, businesses that are like-minded, and that's what we're trying to do, continue to develop that directory, continue to build relationships with members that have businesses or things that we can promote their businesses, and we can ask our members if you need this particular plumber or you need this particular doctor, go with them because we know they're like-minded. So go back to Melissa if you want to add your name to that list, or do you know any other businesses to that list? Next slide. All right, the Second Amendment. Melissa has been chairing the Second Amendment Committee for several years now, as well as vice chair, as well as everything else she does. And we really do need to find somebody to take over that Second Amendment Committee. She's overworked, and you think, well, is it really that important? Now that the Democrats have the Speaker of the House, every single year since I've been 18 years old, the Democrats in January, every new session, introduce hundreds of Second Amendment bills to take away our rights. Luckily, especially in the last decade, the Republicans have had a majority, and they've stopped these bills. Well, now the Democrats have the Speaker, likely to take the majority in May, and Josh Shapiro as governor. Imagine what is going to happen with our rights to have guns and protect our freedoms. We can't let it happen, and we need to identify someone who can lead this amendment committee and work and put pressure on our Republican legislators here in the Valley. All right, and the other thing I'm going to say is we are going to put pressure on those 16 Republican legislatures, and we're going to work with the statewide coalition to make sure we identify them and look to find people now that will run against them next year. So, that being said, how many people are here for the first time? Raise your hand. Good, that's right. I want to welcome you. We're glad to see you here. We hope you come back. I encourage you to join as a membership. We did, unfortunately, due to some inflationary pressures, just increased our dues to $25 a year, but think in light of all that we are accomplishing and doing that at a reasonable price. So we encourage you to look into joining and becoming full-time members. And thank you for coming tonight and welcome. Next slide. All right, and at the end of the night, as always, we'll do the 50-50 raffle. Andrew, and this Tom Campino.
Oh, jeez.
No. And Andrew's been a godsend and everything, but we do miss Tom. Tom's been very instrumental in helping us in all these transitions, and we always keep him in mind. And of course, as always, we sell the gun raffle tickets in the back, and once we sell 100, we raffle that gun off and we move to the next raffle. And we have LVTP chips as always, so if you don't have cash and you want to make donations, buy merchandise or whatever, you can do that by giving your credit card and getting those chips to use. And as always, cannolis and brownies being sold at the back door, Tony selling them, Andrew is in charge of that. That benefits the Boy Scouts, and this year, again, they're going to make a trip to West Point, and these funds that he raises helps these Boy Scouts in the Valley make that special trip to West Point. So thank you for all the brownies and cannolis you've eaten through the years, and keep doing it. All right, and of course, as we see here, Emily and the ladies from Better Vegas over here selling our merchandise, and please consider going and spending a little money on a break. And okay, the Constitution class that we've been talking about here, patriotacademy.com. So again, who was it that spoke last month and promoted it and said how good it was? One of you two in the back there. And these are our fun ladies from Quakertown area, and they're also interested in the United States, and they're very interested in educating people in the Constitution. So we have to keep educating people. We forget. We as conservatives, we go back to work and we taught someone something and it's okay. We have to keep educating. People our own age, people younger, people older. The children need to be educated. They're not being educated in our public schools, certainly. Okay. All right, this is the flyer that Glenn talked about. I did pass around some on the table. That is Saturday, January 21st, 8:30 to 4:30. It is a class, nonpartisan campaign management workshop. If I stood here now and started telling you about what it takes to run for office and petition and the petition time period and how many signatures you need and how you have to set up an account to get a treasurer and all that, depending on what you're running for, it would start getting scary and you'd be like, oh my God, I can't do it. Actually, it's very doable, and we have people in this Tea Party who care about their communities that could run for local office, Tea Party members running for school board and city councils and borough councils, and if you're thinking about it, or if you have a neighbor or friend who might be thinking about it, seriously think about attending this workshop. No obligation, but you go and you say, wait a minute, there are people or resources that the county parties are actually have mechanisms to set up that help training and help get candidates launched. This particular election cycle, we have county commissioner races open in both counties. We have DA races in both counties. We have judge races open. And also, vitally important, as we heard from Josh Prentice last month, we have judge races. Supreme Court, Commonwealth Court, Superior Court. We can't lose these seats. We have to make sure that activist Supreme Court now is 5-2, while the one Democrat passed, so it's 4-2. We have an open seat. We can make it 5-3. 4-3. My math is bad. I've got a math, so I have to go to law school, so I apologize. But we can at least put one of those seats and slowly start making that court not so activist. So these important elections are vital. And consider going to this workshop and getting involved in running for office. Go ahead. All right, now this slide is very small, but it's again Republican woman, and Linda's in the back here. They're having an event on January 12th, and they're inviting Megan Martin and Josh French, who are running for the Commonwealth Court. So, see Linda if you're interested in attending that event at some time tonight. Go ahead. All right, I've talked a little bit about this, but the petition circulation period, that's when you have to go out and get signatures. If you're running for school board, you need 10 signatures in most school boards. If you're running for the school board in Bethlehem or Allentown, you're going to need 100 signatures. But we can teach you how to do that in the time period to get your signatures, the 14th of February through the 7th of March, and that's part of what we'll be talking about, these campaign classes. And during that period, Andrew and myself, through our Republican Action Team PAC, will be managing and organizing petition events where we'll be sending out robocalls to people and saying, come get some free pizza and sign petitions for these candidates. So we will help you get the signatures you need to get on the ballot. All right, go ahead. All right, and Andrew, you want to talk a little bit about U.S. lawship?
U.S. lawship. Okay, so if you were to have to hire an attorney, you can ask Tom what he would charge you. It would be more than.
More for Andrew than everybody else?
That's right. But it would be more than what your consultation fee would be to cover you for a year. Plus, if you sign up and you use the High Valley Tea Party as your registration, you will get, I believe, 2 months additional. So you will get, instead of 12 months, I believe it's 14 months. Plus, the Tea Party does get a stipend for sign-up members. So the U.S. Lawship also has events where they educate you on being a law-abiding gun holder. But even if you get in a fist fight, I mean, you know how people are nowadays. You're in a parking lot or someone shoves you, hit them back, they're going to sue you. It covers you even for that type of altercation. So if you're interested, we have some additional discount cards over here. I'll put them up here on this table, and you can come and talk to them. I'll tell you more about this law shield. It's something, if anyone in this room has a handgun, a shotgun, this is something you need to have. You have to protect yourself. March for life. Okay, Roe v. Wade has been overturned, but we still have the fight continues. Nationally, the Right for Life March this year is on January 20th. I personally had a bus going out of Easton and St. James, Deschantel Parish, which is close to Redner's in Easton. It's affordable, it's $15. If you're not up to marching, what you can do is you bring a little chair, you sit there, and you will be amazed by the amount of people that attend this march from all over the country. If you're like me and you support life, this is something you have to do. If you've never done it before, please see me during the break or at the end of the meeting, or see Emily up there, she can take your information. Membership and raffle update. Renew your Lehigh Valley Tea Party membership tonight. That's over there in the corner. Yesterday we completed a mailing that will include your new membership forms and a cash raffle. Okay, and the cash raffle we're going to discuss in the next slide. But your membership ID and name tags. The reason we don't have those prepared is, as it says there, our membership system looks up and reports your state, House, and Senate districts. But with redistricting going into effect January 1st, not all databases are updated as of yet. So we are working on that, and hopefully next month we'll have those correctly. So last night we had our famous membership and raffle mailing, and if you were part of that group, if you could stand up, I'd like to recognize the group. There was about 25 of us that for 4 hours we assembled 1,500 addresses. So it took us 4 hours. If you want to be on that team, let me know. There's a lot of great people. We had some new people there. But basically, as you see, we get together and we assemble the mailing that will hopefully go out tomorrow. We took it back to the printer. They'll take it over to the bulk mail. And you see Frank and Joe there and Kitty. But it's a fun time. And so some of the prizes are, of course, first prize, 750 cash. Second prize, 500 cash. Third prize, 250. Fourth prize, 125. You have a Lehigh Valley Sporting Clays outing. You have Relic Hunter. We have Farm and Table. Tom can tell you more about that. Gentleman's Barber. That's a real high-class men's barber shop in Easton. Pizza Chef. Dinky's Ice Cream. If you want to know about that, Emily will tell you about that. But there's a lot of prizes there that you can take advantage of. If anyone, we do have tickets, Annette and Katie have the additional tickets up front. If anyone buys 5 tickets tonight at $15 a piece, we'll give you a free yellow, Emily Kiola, we'll give you a free yellow cushion. So if you buy 5 tonight, I'll give you a free yellow cushion. And then you can sit on it.
Such a joke. All right, Valerie Ferguson and Blair Ferguson have been loyal members of the Tea Party. In fact, I think they were actually involved with the Tea Party before I even joined. They were at the original first meetings back in 2009. One of the very first official events that we handled, that the Tea Party was involved with, was Tax Day, a protest on April 15th at Bethlehem City Hall in 2009. So they got involved, and remember back in 2009 what was going on with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. And they've been working with this support the troops for all this time, and they have sent a lot of stuff over there to help our troops. And we've received so many good letters from these young men and women thanking us for these contributions. And just they're so happy to know that we are behind them and we support them, and we're sending these little things that are so important. So they're not here today because Blair's having some health problems, so I ask you to keep him in your prayers. And as I'm also reminded that I want people to keep Dave Buzzard's mother in prayers, and Dave Buzzard, his mother just passed, and I would like you to keep him in prayer as well, and also Andrew Azon, his mother has had some health difficulties recently, so we ask you to keep them in your prayers as well.
Your mom.
Your mom.
And my mom says she's 82 years old and she still works. She manages a doctor's office. And got to take her to the emergency room on New Year's Eve, and she had a rapid heart issue. And kept her a couple days in the emergency room. And Tuesday morning she woke up and said, "I'm going back to work." So, but we appreciate you keeping all these people in your prayers. Thank you. And more Gallagher. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Melissa. Happy birthday to you. Captain Mel.
Captain Mel to make sure that we say happy birthday to Melissa. Melissa's been phenomenal. She is so organized and she keeps so much together for me. And I've been so appreciative of her stepping up several years ago to be our vice chair. And I'm just happy birthday, Melissa, and thank you for everything you've done. Also, I wanted to mention that there's a couple other people that I forgot to say they were here and thank them for coming tonight. One is standing over there in the corner, Jimmy Zumba. Just want to welcome you again, Jimmy. You all know all the work that you did in the last election cycle. For the Republican Party, for Republican candidates, and is that office still open in Allentown? Okay. So, and then also two other people that are very special to me, I've known for a long time, made their way here to Allentown this evening. Sam and Linda Brancadora, very good friends of mine. Sam and Linda, amazing people, and they run the Berks Patriot organization, which is on the third Thursday of each month in Hamburg at the Field House. I strongly encourage anybody who might be able to get over there to go to their meetings. Melissa often goes, I often go. They have a phenomenal group. They do great things in Berks County, and they were lucky enough, I think, in some ways, to have a pretty good relationship with the Republican Party leadership there. But I've seen their meetings and I've watched what they've done, and they've had great influence on candidates for office, and they've done success with school boards and turning over policies that were really harmful for our children. So, welcome, Sam and Linda, and congratulations for all the work you do for the cause. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to Paul Saunders, who's going to introduce our speaker here tonight. Paul has been also a very, very long-time member. I think you were on the board at one time, correct? And he's been chair of our Individual Rights Committee for many years, so here we go. Thank you, Tom.
Good evening. As Tom said, I'm Secretary of the Energy, Environment, and Individual Rights Action Committee. And tonight we're bringing back, for his third or fourth appearance, Dr. Andrew Bernstein, to talk about his newest book, The Documents That Deliberate Damage or Sabotage done to your children and grandchildren by the government school system. The book he's written is titled Why Johnny Still Can't Read or Write or Understand Math, and What We Can Do About It. Hopefully tonight will tell us a lot about what we can do about it. Dr. Bernstein grew up in Brooklyn with a love for literature and ideas. He went on to earn a PhD in philosophy, then on to teaching philosophy, where he earned 2 Teacher of the Year awards from different colleges. He has published 2 novels, a collection of short stories, numbers of nonfiction books on capitalism, heroism, and literature, and a great many articles on philosophy and literature. After his talk tonight and his question period, he's going to be doing a book sale and book signing at the individual rights table in the back of the room. We have several other of his books as well as his newest one. So please join me in welcoming back Dr. Andrew Bernstein.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Good. Yeah, people hear me talk, they think I'm from Louisiana, but they're wrong. I'm not. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, and the pulpit. That's a joke, but it's okay. Now, I think this is at least the third time I've spoken at this this organization over the last 8 or 10 years. This is the book that Paul was talking about, Why Johnny. You know, many of you probably know that in 1955, Rudolph Flesch published a very famous book, Why Johnny Can't Read. Well, that's why my book is titled, Why Johnny Still Can't Read. Or I don't understand that, but what we can do about it. And I think, you know, we've been discussing a lot about politics and the Republicans. I certainly think the Republicans are a lot less bad than the Democrats, is damning them with faint praise. But let's put it this way, to me, I think the conservatives are mixed, the leftists are evil. So the conservatives become the only game in town. We need to win political victories, but I would say this, no matter how many political victories we win, and we need to defend liberty in America, if we don't win in the school system, we lose. If we don't win in the field of education, we lose. Because the leftists are indoctrinating hundreds of thousands of kids every single year to be brainwashed, semi-illiterate, little leftists. And what are we going to do about it? Well, first of all, let me point out here, the school system today is about indoctrination. It's not about education. It hasn't been about education in a long time. I'll give you a little brief background. The first half of the book here is on how we got into this mess. Who did it? When did they do it? Why did they do it? And I name names. So we're talking about John Dewey and William Murray Kilpatrick and people like that who deliberately sabotaged the American education system. They did it on purpose. And you know, when you think about it, you couldn't mess up the education system this bad by accident. It has to be on purpose. And it is. They don't want, they've warned against fines for 100 years, more than 100 years, going back to World War I, the method of teaching your youth. They did away with history more than 100 years ago, replaced it with a weird hybrid called social studies, which can mean anything to anybody. They dumbed down the literature reading lists severely. They diminished the number of courses high school kids need in math and science to get a high school diploma. It's really sad, guys. I teach college, and these students are good kids. These are good American kids. You know, I love a lot of them. But they don't know about it. No, it's heartbreaking. They struggle with the mechanics of reading. Their reading comprehension is not good. A number of times, these are college students. They can't write a coherent paragraph, never mind a college level lesson, and they don't know the first thing about American history. I'll give you an example. Just a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic shut us down, I was teaching a logic course. Logic is that, you know, a high-level course. So I'd like to bring in examples to tie it to reality. So I was going to discuss something. I don't remember the context anymore. I was going to discuss something about James Madison. I think that's a pretty safe example. But it turned out it wasn't so safe. And 20 kids in the class, all born, reared, and educated, schooled in America. 10 out of 20 never heard of James Madison.
Oh my
They
God.
never heard of him. The other 10 at least knew that he'd been the president of the United States. But not 1 out of 20 knew that he was the lead author of the U.S. Constitution and virtually the sole author of the Bill of Rights. Not 1 out of 20 American kids, and that is typical today. They believe, I won't say no, but they believe a lot about man-made global warming, and they believe a lot of stuff about critical race theory, and they believe a lot of stuff that they know about there being dozens of genders and you can choose whatever one you want. The American school system is about indoctrination. It's not about education. So, like I said, first half of the book tells us the details on how the left managed to eviscerate the American school system. But the second half of the book is what we could do about it. That's what I want to talk about tonight, the good news. We got to know the bad news, how it is happening. It's like akin to a disease. If we know the cause of the disease, if we know the germs, then we're better equipped to cure it. But I want to focus on the cure. E.D. Hirsch, professor of humanities at the University of Virginia about 25 years ago, published a book the schools we need and why we don't have them. And he pointed out, the school system, in his words, is an impregnable fortress. It cannot be reformed, it cannot be changed, it cannot be improved. You go back, if you guys remember H.L. Mencken, the writer, the literary critic, going back maybe 100 years ago, or 80 or 90 years ago, Mencken, 80 years ago, put it very simply when he talked about how to fix education in this country. He said the only thing that would take to fix education in this country is to burn down the teachers' colleges and hang all the professors. Yeah. The teachers' colleges and the schools of education are cesspools. Unfortunately, we are rational, honest human beings. We're not going to perpetrate murder or arson. But I know, Mencken obviously didn't mean that literally. But I want to talk about the cure. It's really good to see, one good thing came out of the pandemic, is that parents recognize more today than just a few years ago how atrocious the school system is. And they're angry about it, as they should be. That's good. They're wasting their time rounding at the school boards. I understand why they do it. The schools will not be changed. They can't be changed. Because look at this way. The school system wants the powers that be, the teachers' colleges, the state departments of education, the federal departments of education, the school boards, the powers that be, the interlocking directorate of the school system, as often best called, they are not abashed that the kids can't read. They're not abashed that the kids don't know any medical history. This is what they want. They want semi-illiterate kids who are indoctrinated with leftist propaganda, who will obey the wise rulers of the state. That's what they want. They're not going to change. You remember A Nation at Risk? 1983, 20 years ago, when Reagan was president, the Secretary of Education, the mission, published A Nation at Risk, 1983, on the American school system. Remember the language? I'm not making this up. This is from A Nation at Risk. You can look it up. That the conclusion was that an unfriendly foreign power had imposed on us this kind of mediocre school system, we would consider it an act of war. I mean, the language could not be stronger. From a cabinet level position, studying the school system 40 freaking years ago, and it's only worse today. E.P. Hirsch is right. The school system is an impregnable fortress. It cannot be reformed, it cannot be improved, it cannot be changed, it cannot be altered. But it can be circumvented. And that's the way, one, improve education in this country dramatically, and two, end the political move towards communism. So what do we need to do? First of all, the parents need to pull the kids out of the goddamn schools. We need to starve the monster of victims. Now, we pull the kids out of the schools. That's a lot of responsibility for the parents. I understand. They're working. They come home from work. They're tired. They're not teachers and so on. But I want to point out the good news today is there's a lot of options for parents who really care about their kids' education and want to homeschool. First of all, homeschooling, there's so many resources online, and homeschooling is growing exponentially. It's a huge movement in the country. And one of the most encouraging signs is the demographic that's leading the way in homeschooling in the United States is Black Americans. Black American parents have realized their kids are not getting an education. And you see this is really good news. You see a lot of Black American parents pulling their kids out of the government school system and homeschooling. It's not that hard. I've had parents say, I'm not a teacher. How am I going to teach my kids? And my first response is, how good a teacher you have to be to do a better job than the government schools do? The answer to that is not fair. You won't indoctrinate them with man-made global warming, with critical race theory, with the superiority of communism to capitalism. The single most important cognitive skill is to read well. That's by far the single most important intellectual skill, because if your child can read well, it opens up to him over the whole world of books, the whole world of knowledge. And reading is easy. It's not this tortuous process the school system has turned it into. Here's what I do with my daughter, who's now going to be 20 in a few weeks. She's a junior in college. As soon as I, 1 or 2, we go out and play, we go to the park and everything. And as part of playing, we go to the library, or Borders was still in existence then, or Barnes and Noble, and I have to pick out a book. It was important that she picked it out because you want the kid to know books are fun. And anybody knows my daughter knows. She's always been this very careful, sharp. She takes an hour, but she finally picks something out, And it was always these goofy stories about dogs that could fly, or kids who thought the full moon was a bowl of milk. But that's not the point. The point was that she, at 2 years old, she found it interesting. And she sat down on the floor, and she's pat the floor, and she said, "Sit down, Dad, and read it." And so I read them. And if you do that, it's not hard to do that with your kid. And what that shows the child is that books are fun. Books are cool. Books have good stuff in them. And then the child's motivated to read herself or himself, as the case may be. Not depend on mommy or daddy or the teacher. And by the time the kid's 4 years old, you don't have to wait until 6 years old in first grade. By the time the child's 4 years old, using systematic phonics, you can teach a motivated child to read in a matter of weeks. Systematic phonics. You teach the children, the letters of the alphabet, the combination of letters, the sounds that those letters make. And by the time the child's 4 years old, he or she already knows thousands of words verbally in the mother tongue. And now the child can learn to relate, to connect the literary symbols on the page with the verbal symbols, the sounds of the word that the kid already knows. Reading is easy. It's as easy for a healthy child as learning to ride a bike. And they've turned it into this torturous process, and it's evil. What they've done is evil. They've crippled millions and millions and millions of people's ability to read. And they did it deliberately. So I say to parents, at the very least, teach the kid to read. It's easy. And open up a whole world of knowledge to the child. So that, everybody can homeschool their child in that way. There's homeschool co-ops. Now, I understand, in the leftist states, they make it hard. Homeschool co-ops, and parents pool their resources. And so one parent, like my buddy Paul Sloan's engineer, if he could teach math to the kids, or science lessons to the kids. If I was at a homeschool co-op, and I'm a literary, I could teach English, and literature to the kids, and so on. The parents pool their resources, and they teach the subjects to the kids that they're expert in. Now, in the leftist states, they make this difficult because they won't let one parent teach the children of other parents. But in the more redneck places, and I say that with great affection, in the more redneck places, it's much more rational. It's much easier to have a homeschool co-op where parents can share the work and teach the kids in their field of expertise. But even in the leftist places, where they can't stop them from doing it, is forming what they call today microschools. Are you familiar with microschools? This is the future of American education, because a lot of teachers, certified teachers, are disgruntled with the school system. If you remember the great Martha Collins, she was a standout example. Let's go back to the 1970s, not so much 50 years ago. But she was a superb teacher. She opted out of the school system with a few parents and a few kids and started a private school with just a few students, and built up into West Side Prep, which became an enormously successful school. There's a lot of this going on. It's so common today You know, the better teachers, they actually want to use smarters to teach reading. They know the kids need American history. They know the kids need math and science. They have this funny idea they actually want to educate the children. But they're stifled by a suppressive system, by the school boards and the powers that be in the schools. They're opting out. It's so complicated with a few parents, and they're starting so-called micro schools, which are really just small community schools, 3 or 4 kids, maybe 5, 6, 10 kids, in somebody's basement. And this is so, I've seen a number of examples of this on Facebook, but this is so common a phenomenon. Teachers opting out of the school, certified teachers opting out of the school system with a few parents and the students to start a small community school. This is so common that Forbes magazine, which is a business magazine, ran an essay on this a year or so ago. And the rise of the micro schools is sometimes referred to as the return of the one-room schoolhouse, where you have a school mom, sometimes a man, but generally a woman, teaching kids of different ages in a small school. The environment is safe. That's another problem with development schools. The drugs, the bullying, the crime, in the thugs in urban areas. You don't get that in homeschooling. You don't get it in a homeschool co-op. You don't get it in a micro school. It's safe. The teacher actually wants to teach, academic subjects. The rise of the micro schools is a very, very, very positive development in American education. And you go to microschoolrevolution.com, you'll get a lot of information. If anybody wants to start a micro school, I have a buddy, I mentioned his name, Mike Gustafson in Massachusetts. He told me, he was a college kid. He was majoring in education. I'm going to teach for a few years, as a certified teacher. I'm going to opt out of the system and start my own school. Now this is Massachusetts. It doesn't get any bluer, right, than Massachusetts is, and they can't stop them. I mean, the communists will try and stop parents from opening, a homeschool co-op. Like I said, they can't stop a certified teacher from starting a school with a few families. And today his school, after 5 or 6 years, Atlas Academy, has like 60 kids in it, and it's thriving. So this is the rise of the micro schools is very, very positive development. I discuss it, in the second half of the book. But also, there's one other thing that parents don't realize. I think it's an option they have, it's a resource, and that is tutors. Because they think about this. One of the problems with the school system, one of the many, is that very often the teachers don't know very much. It's because they don't know much content. That's because to get teaching degrees, they have to take a lot of education courses, which focuses on how to teach, not what to teach. So, for example, at the University of Connecticut, which is, by the way, is more than a women's basketball team, the University of Connecticut, and this is typical from around the country, but it was for a garden variety math major at the University of Connecticut. I think they needed something like, I don't remember the exact number, something like 39 hours in mathematics and 13 hours, 12 hours in cognate science disciplines, physics, chemistry. But they needed something like, it was more than 50 hours to get a math degree at the University of Connecticut. But for somebody who's going to teach math, to be a certified math teacher, they needed a fraction of that number of courses in math and science. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was like maybe 2/3 of what a math major needs. So the teachers are getting very little content because they're taking all these education courses which focus on math. But simply, the teachers don't know very much. The English teachers don't know much literature because they're taking education courses. The math teachers don't know much math because they're taking education courses, and so on. You hire a tutor Think about this. Let's say you're a parent in Michigan, your family in Michigan, and you want somebody to teach your kids chemistry. You can, online, you can go to varsitytutors.com, outschool.com, there's all these online resources. You find graduate students around the country. Let's say somebody could be at the University of Oregon, getting a PhD in chemistry. What that means is, first of all, the student already has a bachelor's degree in chemistry and knows vastly more chemistry than any high school science teachers do. And second of all, they're graduate students. So they're taking graduate courses in chemistry. They know vastly more than the high school teachers do. Furthermore, they're graduate students, which means they're not working full-time, which means they're starving, and you can hire their sheep. You can get them for like $40 an hour. You know, they're experts in their field because they can study their field, they haven't taken education courses. And you can do it with Zoom. Another good thing came out of the pandemic. And you can have your kids taught by experts in the field, using tutors. I'm a tutor, teach, literature, philosophy, and family in Minnesota. So anyhow, we're wrapping this up, we gotta go to Q&A, but there's a lot of options for parents who pull their kids out of the school system to educate them in a way that's vastly superior to the way the government schools do. And I want to reiterate, just to repeat the last point, at the very least, you can teach the child how to read well, read effectively, and open up a whole world of books to the kids. Thank you. So how many minutes do we have for Q&A?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
First of all, just give me the microphone here and...
We're running out of time.
Is there anybody that has questions? We'll pass the mic, so, okay? We'll have questions for about maybe 4 questions, so maybe... Okay. So we'll start with...
They're going to be selling signing books in the back afterwards.
Hi, thank you, it's comfortable. During the COVID shutdowns, I was watching my grandchildren, one was in the first grade, and so I was tasked on my days to try to help him with his work. Well, it was difficult. You have the equipment failures, blah, 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 blah. But as we were progressing through some of this, he was showing me papers he was supposed to go over, and there were sight words. Now, when I was in school, I don't remember sight words. They were just words to memorize, to learn through that method. Now, to me, it was dumbing down. I just wanted to teach him how to sound combinations of letters, etc., as you mentioned. So, has this been going on for a long time, and how does that dumb down the children's ability to learn?
That's a good question. She's talking about the use of sight words in the teaching of reading. That's the whole word method. The look-say method is one variation on that. How long has it been going on? Since World War I, actually. But when Rudolph Flesch wrote his book, Why Johnny Can't Read, it was against the method of sight words and to teach phonics and sound out the words. The whole word method, which is what the school system has preferred over the past 100 years, the child is not taught to sound out the letters. In many cases, not allowed to sound out the letters. Rather, you focus on the whole word. These are the old, everybody here learns to read by the old Dick and Jane readers. Remember the old Dick and Jane readers? See spot. See spot 1. Come home spot. Come home. This is the kind of drivel that children get when they use the whole word method, because they can only memorize a small number of small words every year. They can't read great children's books. They can't read the Secret Garden. They can't read Angry Green Gables. They can't read Peter Pan. It's too sophisticated. So, think about it. You gotta memorize the shape of the word. And if you don't recognize the shape of the word, they teach you to guess. And if you make a good guess, even if you're wrong, one example was the sentence read, I like to eat carrots. And the kid read it, I like to eat cake. And they said, very good, Johnny, you follow the cues here. This is the dominant method, has been for 100 years. This is why we have a nation of freaking The method doesn't work. There's tens of thousands of words in the language. How are you going to memorize the shape of all that? It's impossible. Einstein couldn't do it. Shakespeare couldn't do it. Newton couldn't do it. The greatest geniuses can't do it. The method doesn't work. That's why we have so many illiterates assembling.
All right, we've got a question over this way.
Thank you. I admire you very much. Is there anything in the book about the sex change operations that they're
And anything about the sex change operation? Not specifically, but you're right. This is the leftist propaganda that the schools spew out today. The idea that this is what's evil, right? First of all, there's dozens of genders. Second of all, we can choose any gender we want. Third of all, we encourage kids to have sex change operations when they're very young. This is very evil. Look, there's nothing more obvious to a child, for anybody, to what gender you are. There's only two possibilities, and it's very obvious. I was telling Paul and Gaston this before. My sister has a very raw sense of humor. She had this drawing up bathroom for a long time. There's a little boy and a little girl that they're twins, like 4 or 5 years old. They get into the bathtub to take a bath, and the little girl's looking at her brother's crotch, and he says to her, "No, you can't touch it. You broke yours off already." It's nothing more obvious. There's nothing more obvious than what gender we are. So you ask the question, what's the purpose of this vicious nonsense? Well, it's to place the kids' perception. It's to get the kids to doubt their own perception of reality. If you follow what the teachers say, there are any number of genders. You can change your gender at will with our power, with the power of the state. The power of the power of the state behind you. You can change your gender. What this does is it gets the kids to question their own grasp of reality, follow what the teachers say, ultimately obey the state. That's the purpose. That's the purpose of this vicious nonsense.
This will be the last question then.
Thank you, Andrew. My name is Robin Gibbon. I'm a retired school nurse, just retired in Montana. I'm 31 years in a school, so I exactly understand everything you're saying. I wanted to just mention to everyone here, every parent, every grandparent, listen, so this is the day that your children are spending in school. About 6.5 hours, 8:30 to 3, correct? The first 15 minutes of the day, taking lunch orders, putting your coats and ripping away books. 15-minute morning break, 30 minutes for lunch, 30 minutes for recess, 45 minutes for phys ed. That's 2.25 hours out of 6.5 hours. 2.25 hours non-productive. So if you do homeschooling 50 hours a day, you probably teach your children more than what the children learn in school.
No, you're absolutely right. It doesn't take that much. I've seen good homeschooling parents get up in the morning, have breakfast, and then they just crank. They work hard from like 9 in the morning to noon, or 9 in the morning to 1 a.m., and then we're done. No homework. This is Marie Montessori, my great. No homework except in literature. When they start reading Hamlet, on November 4th, I have to have Hamlet read. Other than that, there's no homework. And the kids are motivated. They can play the rest of the day. They can do what they want. They plank for 3 or 4 hours every morning, and you can teach a lot, in that amount of time when you're working hard. The kids are motivated. They know they get the rest of the day off. There's no homework other than literature. There are parents who do a really good job with this. So I want to point this out. How much better homeschooling is than going to school. So the last point, I see what we're out of time, is when they say the proof is in the pudding. By any metric you want to measure, whether it's the ACT or the SAT or the NAEP test, any metric you want to measure, homeschool kids do much better academically than government schools.
See if I can find this. Let's scroll from this one in. Okay, you may have noticed this young lady in the back of the camera. She's not filming now, so don't worry. She did film my opening remarks because she's here from France. Danny Chauvin, and she's very interested in what's going on in America and what's going on in Washington, and she's interested in answering. If anybody's interested in talking to her after me, you don't have to. She's not filming anybody in particular, but she's more than willing or interested to hear what you think about what's going on in Washington and what the Republicans are doing to us. So when I got that call asking if she could come today, I did say, typically we're a little leery of the press, but she was welcome to film me, but she's not filming the rest of the room, so don't worry about that. And then you don't have to talk to her, but you're willing to talk to her. We're able to talk to her afterwards if you're interested in doing so. And with that being said, a couple of slides here. Okay. We have to pay a lot of money for the room and the expenses. And I said, I think we should do a little video. I was telling Melissa this afternoon. We should do a video in this room at the beginning of the day at 3 o'clock when we get here to set it up. And several hours that it takes to put this all together and the difference that transforms this room. But we spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, and we need your help to continue to support our efforts. So please be generous to put donation buckets on the tables. And if you don't have cash, you can use the LVTP chips for those donations. Go ahead and all right, merchandise table. And also, if you have further questions for our speaker, he's selling his books back there, so go back and buy his book, and also ask him some questions if you have further questions. All right, so we're going to take about a 10-minute break. We're going to come back with a few very important things to do, and we will, although we're behind, we will wrap up by now.
Remember, renew your membership this evening. Don't forget to renew your membership this evening. 50-50 raffle tickets, 50-50 raffle tickets, Second Amendment raffle, and of course, cake and cannolis. 1 for 3 or 3 for 9. Your special thing on the cakes and cannolis. If you want to purchase those raffle tickets, cash raffle tickets, go to where Annette and Kitty are at the front. They have those for sale. If you buy 5 from us this evening, we'll give you a free seat cushion.
Oh, you want these right up here?
Yeah, that works. Thanks.
Okay.
We gotta get. Susan says we have to give an in-kind contribution form on this.
In-kind donation.
Yeah, in-kind donation. Yes. I'm good.
if I see you in the students in the room, I'm not going to let them leave. Okay, everyone can take your seats now and get back to it. And we have the reception, but we're going to fix that soon. We have someone sitting in here tonight that's going to generous donation to the sound system, right? So as we get started here, I also want to welcome a young man who came to the meeting tonight, Chris Pachowski here. Chris is a member of the Tea Party for many years. And I think I mentioned if I could have your attention please now so we can get started. Hey, who are you? Thank you. So, all right. Settle down now? Okay. Chris is a young man who we welcome as a member, but several months ago I think I mentioned his name. He's come to our board and presented a possible business plan for us to adapt. And so last month when I introduced to you all sort of what we did in our December planning and long-term strategy session, I'm sorry, the microphone, I'm sorry about that. Where we are moving to listen and incorporate to some of the people that talked and gave us opinions, and we met with a very long-term meeting, and we will be implementing some continued changes to better impact our community, have a bigger voice with hopefully a business plan that will help us market us a little better. So welcome, Chris, and thanks for coming out. We look forward to your presentation and hopefully after some of your business plan and maybe February or March period. All right, so if I have your attention. Thank you. All right. So the first slide we have here. So there's a lot of wording on this, and you're going to make me read all this. Actually, this was sort of what we did. We said we'd come back to you with what our plan was for 23 and 24. So our plan for the next 2 years, thank you, is that we attract people to the LVTP based on issues like free speech, election security or integrity, guns, right to life, and to help them get involved in government and politics. That is, we will teach the big picture. If we could have maybe everyone that's talking be quiet, it's sort of impolite to the people who can't hear because you're talking. Sorry about that. That is, we will teach the big picture of how the system works. Most have no clue. Then ask them to run for party committee, judge of elections, inspector of elections, constable, poll watcher, school board, municipal council, mayor, town supervisor, county council, state lawmakers, etc. The recruit, counsel, and train model. If we don't fill elected seats, our opposition will. They do. They fill these seats. And we sit here, oftentimes, with no Republicans running for anything. In many communities in which we could win some of these seats. And we heard a good speaker tonight talking about the cost of education. The secret to fixing the education system, at least in part, unless you want to put your kids in Catholic or private school or homeschool them, is to get people on our school boards who will fix this mess through the process. If we don't fill them, as we said, the opposition will, we end up being governed by our own political enemies. Ryan, the socialist, and of course the corrupt. The unit party that's in Washington and Harrisburg. Go ahead, next slide. So it's a lot of work again. I gotta get my glasses here. To launch this project, we need everyone to pitch in and commit to doing something, no matter how small. If you think we may be willing to just tap the link in your check-in confirmation message. So we've been sending you text messages. We said welcome tonight when you check in. So if you want to get involved, you can tap the link in that check-in message. Critical. We need 3 people as overall project managers who are willing to work at least 7 to 10 hours a week, organizing others, setting up training programs, assigning work, and generally coordinating the efforts of the multiple teams. Now, I will tell you with this, a lot of this is, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We have done this. We had all those training sessions last year that Andrew ran through my packet, where we did that training for the judges of elections and the community
we were
people,
successful.
And we were pretty successful at getting a lot of people in these very local but very important positions. And we need to continue to do that. And that's one thing we need to do is, even though we're focused on the local elections this year, we also have to keep in mind who we need to primary in 24 for these state house seats. And we need to start looking for those candidates now. And the people that we may set up as we're knocking on doors and volunteering and getting people to get to know our candidates for these local offices, identify the people that listen to our message and say, guess what, we need you to run for state house next year. We need to primary some of these people. Egregiously enough, last week at the NCRC executive meeting, 2 of our state reps showed up. Thankfully, they came one of the first times ever. We've seen them there, Zach Mako and Ann Flood. Zach Mako's been in office 8 years and never once sponsored one bill. He typically goes okay. But what's he there for? We presented him an argument that they should dress it up in resolutions with peach wool, and he refused to sign it, saying, I never sign anything. I don't support anything. I won't sign a resolution. Ever. Why did he get elected? So then they stood there, because I think they realized we're in a bit of trouble with the case. And they told us what they expected to do in Harrisburg this year. They were optimistic in all of those speeches until they started getting questioned. And the first question asked was something that I brought up at the beginning of the meeting, which was the constitutional amendment for voter ID. Will you push this? Will you get involved on it? You have the majority. The governor can't veto that second bill. Once you pass it with your majority, do it now. Will you do that? They hemmed and hawed and said, it depends on who the speaker is. We don't know. We need to get rid of these people. They're not on our side. They call themselves Republicans. We get upset with each other and ourselves because we start fighting amongst each other because we're like, but that's a Republican and the lesser of two evils. This guy's better, he's the bad, he's the lesser of two evils. The lesser of two evil is evil. And we have to stop this. So that's why this is so important. We can do this. So we've had sort of low attendance in the last 2 months, and I understand why it's winter time and the flu's going around. And also, more importantly, most importantly, we were very depressed about the election results. It's time to get over that. It's time to talk to your friends, your fellow supporting members, friends, neighbors, family. Get them engaged, and we need to see a lot more people engaged and showing up at the meetings. We're going to have a great meeting next month. We're going to start talking about the election with our steering committee. But we need your help, so that's why we did this. We did that special meeting and came up with this plan after a lot of talking and discussion how we can do this. So if you're interested in one of the critical positions, email focus24@lvtp.org. Next slide. Okay, I want to thank Tom Campion. He's the one that passed all that system that we do with the polling and everything. He came to our strategy meeting. He came from New Jersey. He spent as many hours with us. He presented everything that we did to vote and discuss, and we came up with the plan that the board voted on. And he put this all together, and I want to thank Tom for his continued amazing support for our organization. So before there, I had my phone set up on a table, and I had my Facebook Live on, and Tom Campion sent a message, Tom Carroll's talking to me. So, and that's probably true, but Tom Campion and the rest of the board have done a great job. We are enthused. We know you're depressed and upset and anxious about what's happening in the world. Prices are going up. They're trying to brainwash your children with everything from transgender crap to, politically correct everything and wokeism and everything else that they're doing, destroying our economy. We can't let that get to us. We need to get back in the fight. The alternative is we just lose faster. We may not win this battle. I think we're going to win. I think we have to stay on God's side, we have to stay prayerful, and we have to keep fighting. I think we're going to win, but we're not going to win it with that side that we're too depressed and we can't take it anymore. One, stop watching the news and turn off Fox News. That's a step in the right direction. All right, next slide.
Eat cannolis.
All right, so what we said last time was, we were doing several years ago, we sort of falling away from it, was we would give you guys the opportunity to ask some questions or give us some comments to help us, positive kind of motivation for a thought process of what we can do better or what you might want us to do. So if anybody wants to ask a question or make a comment, Andrew will pass the microphone around now. You don't have to, but go ahead, Frank.
Oh, no, I don't have camera.
Oh, Frank, all right, anybody want to discuss anything about what we're doing or anything, or have any questions? Because we're now this is
that notice spelled scam. Notice spelled scam.
Oh, yes, thank you. You've been telling me with many messages. Melissa, thank God you're there. I'm sorry, I'm old, I'm seeing out. 30 seconds after she tells me something, I'm like, what did you just say? We got a message from a concerned member a couple days ago, got an email, which I spread quickly to the board, that they received a phone call from somebody saying they represented the Tea Party and asking for a cash donation of $100, I think it was. Just so you all know, they are scamming people everywhere at every level. You get an email saying your Netflix is going to be canceled even though you don't have Netflix. Click on it here and you think, wait a minute, I don't want to lose my time, I better click on it. Never click on anything. And the Tea Party is not sending text messages asking for money. We're not sending emails asking for money, and we're certainly not, unless we're doing a particular mail-in raffle, which you will know was an official mailing. And we certainly are not calling anybody asking for donations. So if you get such a call, please be advised it's a scam. Don't answer it or politely or not so politely hang up. So, someone has a question?
Hi,
Hi, my name's Robin. At the last meeting in December, we were all really yes on the election and all the issues and problems. So I got up and I asked the question to which you tabled it till January. I was just wondering if I could ask it again. So the question was, tell us something about, give us a report about all the problems that existed and happened all around our area with the machines on election night. In many of the towns, they ran out of paper, the machines weren't working, people had to wait for hours. I mean, that's just several of the problems. So my question, bottom line, is there a way we can find out what happened and how it's being addressed so it doesn't happen again?
A lot of that comes from people filing Freedom of Information requests. And if people think something happened, if people have a word of something happening, send a message to me because we have...
I didn't hear his question.
Okay, here. Why don't you answer me with the microphone?
The question I have is, we have elections in the House of Representatives now for Speaker of the House. And I think they've had, what, 7 votes, and they have not decided on the Speaker of the House.
Speak in the mic.
Okay.
Speak in the mic.
And they have not had a positive vote on, I don't know.
So I guess closer. Closer.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'll speak a little louder and slowly. My question is about the election that's going on right now in the House of Representatives to elect the Speaker of the House. And for 3 days now, they've had votes, and they cannot decide. They cannot get 218 votes, which is one more than the 435, half of the 435. They need 218 to vote the Speaker. Well, the Democrats are sticking together. They're up around, what, 212, I believe. But there are 20 holdouts who are not voting for the Speaker of the House. Now, my question is, maybe Tom has some insight. And I think these 20 people are real patriots, and they understand the corruption of what Washington is all about. And they're holding out because they want to get someone in there who's solid, someone who's a real conservative, and someone that they can really trust to get things done. And I'm wondering, I've heard good things about this man from Florida.
Brian Donalds.
Brian Donalds. Now, he's only been in Congress for about 2 years now, I understand. But he was in the State House in Florida. And I've heard the man speak. And he's very articulate, and he's very intelligent. He has 3 children. He is a family man. He has good conservative values. And I'm wondering if maybe they might pivot to him and make him Speaker of the House. And he's a black man, so he would be good for the Republican Party. He really, really would. Maybe that's the plan. I think there's a plan here. I don't know what the plan is. Tom, can you speak on this?
Yeah, I can speak on this a little bit, and then I think we'll take that as a final sort of comment for tonight and wrap up the rest of the meeting. But it's a great comment, but I'll segue back after my answer to saying we always, rightfully so, are paying attention to what they're doing. And sometimes we lose sight of what they're doing here. And so that's why, again, at the end of the day, I share your passion, and I 100% agree with you. I believe Kevin McCarthy, I don't think he's the devil incarnate, but I think with watching him and how he did this and how he ran these primaries, one of the demands that this group had, they said they would compromise and maybe they would come around and vote for him, was they simply said, stop spending money in the primaries. That was one of their demands, because he weighed in. Now, you all know my feelings on Kevin Delker, but Kevin Delker should have not had to fight, as much as I was personally opposed to him for all sorts of reasons. You've all heard those stories. But he should not have had to fight the money that Kevin McCarthy was throwing into this district on behalf of their chosen person. I personally supported Lisa. I loved her, and I think she was the best candidate. Kevin McCarthy should not have been dumping money into that contested primary. Just like Mitch McConnell should not have been dumping money into Alaska. It's disgusting. I believe that Kevin McCarthy, who, by the way, came out and was blasting Donald Trump for January 6th. And you know we had many buses down there that day. We had hundreds of our members and friends down there that day. And I know I'm not supposed to talk about that, but we did nothing illegal.
We were defending our right to ask simple legal questions, and Kevin McCarthy said that we were criminals. They have how many people still in jail in America with no due process in gulags? They can't talk to the lawyers, they can't talk to the families, they haven't been set bail, they haven't had trial dates. It's going on 2 years. This is not America, and Kevin McCarthy is part of the problem. Are we going to be able to fix that? Is he going to end up Speaker? Probably. I wish we could. I agree with you. I think they should continue to hold out. And at some point, McCarthy's so arrogant. And some of these Republicans, remember? They sold us out. They were happy to take the loss so that Trump, because the Orange Man's bad. Orange Man bad, and that's the Republican never-Trumper establishment. And those people will take the loss, and they'll let Hakeem Jeffries be Speaker. And that's the concern I have is, in this mix, some of the traitor Republicans will finally start voting for Jeffries, and all of a sudden we'll find him as Speaker. Well, I don't know. Again, we said what we do, right? I don't know. It's sad. I wish I could say more. It's very emotional. Reasonable people can disagree. It's a scary time, and we just have to pray that the right result comes out. And I don't think I can give a better answer. So we'll move on.
Quick. We all feel very passionately
Be very careful.
about this. I think it's time for us to get up and write to, call, email our congresspeople. We need to do it about this right away. We need to do it about voter ID right away. And I would love to get a group of people here who are willing to help me audit the registered voters, Republican and Democrat throughout our area. Because I don't like seeing 160 people in Wisconsin with the same address voting. 160 people in one address. And oh, by the way, it's not an apartment building.
She's right. We have 250,000 plus voters in Pennsylvania on our registration rolls that do not live in Pennsylvania anymore. They're either dead or moved to another state or moved from one county to the next, registered in more than one county. 250,000. And then you talk about all the other fraud. Right. Where do we go? There's so much. All right. So I think, Emily, you have something to say there. Then we're going to give you the announcements for the upcoming. We're not going to do the drawing yet. Okay. So with that, let's go to the next slide here. Next month's meeting will be here February 2nd. Go ahead, Andrew. All right. Go ahead and play that video. We're going to play you a very short video of the Navy SEALs. This is William Martin is a Navy SEAL who's going to be here next month. He's going to talk to us. He's been very supportive of, all know and love Charlie Strange and what his son did and how he died for our country. And Charlie and Mary are going to be here, and they're going to introduce William Martin. And can you get sound of that or no? This is a little short video about a strip and support they did up in New York to help the Gold Star families.
Tom Carroll's in that video, just have to look carefully.
Charlie describes being on a boat when this is going on, and they swim through the river and over to Ellis Island and Liberty Island, and it's very compelling what they did to raise money in support of the Gold Star families.
Congress this year.
We're going to do a swim course here, okay?
Lady Liberty, 14th Career, coming together for a great cause. Very blessed. A lot of gratitude for the tribe that I belong to. And just honoring those that can't be here. Obviously, my heart's for Source 17. But right now I'm thinking about Father Omar. So, I come from all the beach, what my grandfather served, so it's really good. All right, so we're ready to draw the 50-50 raffle. Winner gets $113. Thank you.
Zero 449-179.
Say that again. Repeat the number.
449-179.
We got a winner over there. Thank you very much. I just want to say a couple last words here. One, thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you for staying in the fight. Let's get back into it next month, and we're going to win these battles. And I just want to close with a final prayer. So if I could have everyone's attention as we have a final prayer. As dawn breaks on a new year, let us give thanks for all we hold dear, our health, our family, and our friends. Let us release our grudges, our anger, and our pains, for these are nothing but binding chains. Let us live each day in the most loving ways, the God-conscious way. Let us put on the armor of God, stand up for our God-given rights without fear or anxiety, knowing that God is standing right with us. God bless all of you. Have a great month of January, and we will see you in early February. Thank you and good night.